Should we pay organ donors? Debate has been rife today after Auckland renal specialist Johan Rosman revealed some people are so desperate for kidneys they are buying them online from some of the poorest countries in the world. Earlier this evening I asked Dr Rosman if this problem arises because New Zealanders are so reluctant to donate organs.
Compared to the rest of the world, we are very low in the OECD rankings, yes.
Any idea why that is?
It probably has to do with a multitude of things. One of them is the willingness in our population to donate organs after death, which is partly a cultural thing. And also maybe because we have not been very good at asking for organ transplantation.
OK, so the discussion in order to get organs, because how many people are currently on dialysis in New Zealand?
We currently have around 2,500 people on dialysis in New Zealand.
And each of those people are costing the taxpayer what, roughly a year?
Well, roughly it depends on what kind of dialysis you're actually doing, but the prices range from 50,000 to 100,000 and sometimes a little bit more per year.
So that is an enormous chunk of the health bill.
Absolutely.
And if we were able to get kidneys to those people, that money would go, right?
Well, not completely go. We have done a costing exercise recently which shows that over the first 3 years, a kidney transplant cost $105,000. So that includes the operation, expensive drugs after the surgery, and then the price will drop to around $10,000 per year. OK,
so there are big savings to be made if we get people to donate organs.
Big savings to be made. The point to be made, though, is that what is for me being a doctor and looking at the interest of the patient is the quality of life that is vastly improved after a renal transplant. People say they get their life back if compared to dialysis.
So we get then to the question about incentivising people to donate by paying them to do so. The World Health Organization and the European Union both last week in Madrid said, we think this is a very bad idea. Where does their opposition to it stem from?
The opposition stems from a feeling that I understand very well, and that is that a lot of wealthy people go to third world countries and buy themselves an organ.
And at the moment people are going to China, for example, and picking up organs effectively on the black market.
In China, organs are retrieved usually from people that have been executed. In other countries, people give live donation. That means that they give one of their 2 kidneys away for money.
But they don't get very much money, right? The middleman is making all the money, right?
Well, that is, for me, a major issue. I have 2 real big issues with retrieving organs in third world countries. And one of them is that the middleman gets the money. It's usually costing around $100,000, and the donor is fobbed up with usually around $100.
So the middleman is getting 99.9% of all the money that's being paid.
That is right.
So this is a repugnant trade, isn't it?
Absolutely. What is worse, though, is that the donor usually, where we select our donors very carefully and match them to the recipient, the donor there is just taken from a group. Organs are taken without paying much attention to the health situation of the donor, and then the donor leaves the hospital and there's no follow-up whether the person's doing well.
So on every level, it's morally repugnant and it's not good health practice.
And it's not controlled.
OK, so how do we operate a system? Is there one where we can solve both the ethical and health issues and still pay people to donate organs, or is that simply not possible?
It is possible, in my opinion. It's not that I promote one method or the other. I am very keen to get this discussion going in New Zealand. Should we see our organs as something that is sacred and does not have a price? Or should we be able to put a price on organs and say, well, I don't want to put an amount of money on it myself, but say for matter's sake $10,000 is a kidney. Should we be willing to pay $10,000 for a kidney?
Can you answer that question for me? And I want you to do it personally. So what do you think, as somebody who would desperately like to see more transplants take place?
Maybe we should look at a situation where New Zealanders are allowed to sell their organs to a recipient. Important thing is that we already sell sperm, we already sell blood in many countries, there are surrogate mothers carrying, so our body's parts are already for sale. And I would not want to make an exception just because it's a kidney.
Dr. Johan Rosman, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.